Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Susie with Susie on the Farm if you're new here. And around here we love turning thrifted finds into sellable pieces. In today's video I'm sharing 11 of my tried and true makeovers that sell here in my store and online at susieonthefarm.com. I'll walk you through a mix of easy and simple transformation and updates that work for me. I hope they work for you too. Now let's go ahead and get started. Our first project, we're going to start with small art frames. I always pick these up at the thrift store to transform. These were actually given to me by a customer. A lot of times when people are cleaning out their stash or just, organizing their home, they find things to get rid of. And I have a lot of wonderful customers that will bring them to me instead of donating them. So I appreciate that a lot. These had some interesting artwork, but definitely were not my style. So I'm going to update them. And to begin with, I'm painting the inside of these frames with a white base so that I can decoupage some beautiful art over them. I did the first one and I did 2 coats on each. When I went to do the second one, I realized that the art in there was actually a piece of paper, and I was able to peel this one all the way off, and turns out it looks like a Hobby Lobby piece underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that one off. The other one was stuck down really good. There was no peeling it off. And I'm doing the same thing with this one. Once I get them all painted and they're dry, I went through my decoupage paper scraps. And by scraps, I mean ones that have already been cut on, used part of. I believe this is a piece of Spring Elements. This is Roycycled. All the products that I use are available on susieonthefarm.com. susieonthefarm.com if you see something that you're interested in making your own items over. So what I did is just use my fingertip to kind of score where I need to cut it. Now I am misting the decoupage paper, and I'm using DIY liquid patina to decoupage this down. So I'm just putting a good even coat on the bottom, and then I will lay my decoupage paper into that medium, placing it how I want it, getting it straight. Luckily, I was able to move this one without tearing, but ideally you want it to go down where you want it the first try. And then I'll go back over the top with another layer of the liquid patina. This is rice paper, and it is Connie Lines and Designs, which is also available on my website. This beautiful Oriole, and I love the teal or turquoise background there. So I did it the exact same way. And now you could actually leave the frames wood. I do that a lot, but I wasn't super careful with my white paint, and there's some white paint showing through. And also, we've been in the Christmas season, and I am really ready for some fun colors in my life. So I'm using DIY Farm Fresh. On this one, it matches the plaid in the background of this bunny, and I'm just painting the entire frame. And for this one, we are going with Fire Starter. This is not a color that I use very often, but it goes so well with the Oriole's belly that I decided, let's give it a shot. Let's do some color. Once they were both dried with 2 coats, I sealed them both up with some DIY Big Top, and then these are complete. Everyone always wants to know what I price my items for, and I typically don't do that a lot because it matters so much where you are, but I would probably price these art pictures at about $8.99 each. Another great seller for me are risers and bases, and I happen to have several of these in my stash. I pick them up anytime I find them because everyone loves to elevate their decor. I am trying to mass make and get through my stash. I about got half of everything that I have out. So I have to do some serious thrifting after the first of the year. I had cut back the last couple of months. The first two risers I painted in white, 2 coats of lamp white by Fusion. This is one of those, I don't know what was in there, some kind of utensils or something. I imagine this was at one point a cheese base cloche base, because I tried and they fit absolutely perfect on there. But I don't want this to open anymore, so I'm just using some Titebond glue and gluing it shut. I put a healthy amount, wiped off any of the excess, and then set it aside to let it dry. Now back to the ones that I painted white. I went through my transfer scraps, and I'm just going to put a few transfers on these just to elevate them. Another goal I have set for myself for next year is to use up what I have. I've been talking about this for a few months, but I need to use all the pretty transfers I have instead of them sitting back in a room. So this one is dry now. I actually tried my hardest to open it and I could not get it open. I'm going to paint this one with Fusion in the color French Eggshell. This is one of those great colors that goes perfect with almost any season, and I absolutely love it. And coming in with another transfer scrap. I believe these come from Brocante. I can't be absolutely certain, but I think so, and I think I have plenty of those available if you're interested. That one's full of all kinds of French country designs, and it is a staple. You really need to have the Brocante transfer if you're a reseller. I decided to distress this one. I really love the color of that wood underneath. And because this is Fusion paint, I do need to use a sandpaper. Fusion has a built-in sealer. It's an all-in-one with a self-leveler and everything. So once I got it distressed how I wanted, I sealed it up with Big Top just like I did the others. Like I said, this one was a perfect base for a cloche, and I happen to have several of those. And these are always great sellers. I also usually price these individual ones about $8.99. And if it has a base, it's usually $15 to $16. I mean, if it has a cloche. Teapots and vases are also great sellers. I happen to have a few teapots in my stash right now, but I didn't get to a vase. So this one I picked out. This one's vintage. It's made in Japan. It's gorgeous colors that'll be perfect for spring. And I really don't need to do anything to it, but I decided just to simply put an IOD transfer on. This one probably comes from Ephemeral Melange or possibly Seed Catalog. They're both similar, so it could be in either one of those. But I thought the colors matched this blue and that gold perfectly, and I am not hesitating to put transfers down. I do, in the past, I have hesitated on that just because you guys have seen me do it so much. But for 2026, I am going to be focusing on things that sell, things that keep my small business up and running. And when I put an Iron Orchid Design transfer on something like this, it will sell guaranteed. So that's all I did for this one. And because of the shiny surface, I didn't seal the outside of this one up. It's for decor only, and it can easily be wiped off with a dry or dust rag. And I usually sell these small teapots at around $12.99. Decor balls decals were actually a little bit of a shocker for me, but I have noticed that anytime I paint these older, I don't like the look of them a whole lot. When I paint them a bright color and dry brush them and bring out all of that beautiful detail on them, they sell. So I'm going in with French eggshell on both of these and giving them 2 coats, making sure I get down in there really good. And then once those 2 coats are dry, I'm coming back with that Fusion Lamp White, and I'm just barely putting any on my brush and wiping most of it back, and then just easily dry brushing over the top of this. You can't really mess up dry brushing because, you know, if you get too much on there, oh well, just put some more on there. And it's just like magic. Whenever you dry brush over something with all of this pretty stuff, it sticks to those high points and just completely transforms them. I sell these for $6.99 each all day long, and I never pay more than 50 cents or $1 for them. I'm combining Lazy Susans and wood decor boards because they're both great sellers and they look similar. This one I picked up, this one I picked up at the Goodwill for $2.99. I intended to use it to paint on, but my good friend Linda brought me a larger one that I'm using that has been so helpful. But this one I went ahead and painted with 2 coats of that lamp white. I did not paint the bottom part. I left it plain, so it still works absolutely perfect. And now I'm going to decoupage this music notes paper. This is a Roycycled decoupage paper. To do a larger surface like this, I like to do it in sections. So I just did a little area to start with, and I'm using Fusion decoupage and transfer gel. For this decoupage, to me, it works really good with the thinner decoupage papers and if I'm trying to do a larger surface. So I put the layer down, I laid my paper in it, misted my paper, laid my paper in it, and then used my brush to smooth out any wrinkles. And now I'm going to work my way down in sections, doing the same thing. So this prevents the misting, helps those fibers open up, and it makes it so easy to push out any wrinkles or air bubbles that you might get doing a larger surface like this. Once my decoupage paper was completely dry, and you do want it to be absolutely dry so you don't rip your paper, I am using a piece of sandpaper going around the edge in a downward motion, and it gives you a nice, crisp, clean edge on that decoupage paper. After I'm done with that, I did decide to go ahead and use some transfer scraps. And again, I want to reiterate, when I say transfer scraps, I mean loose transfers that I've already cut out of booklets and are loose. I have, as you can see, a whole folder. And I knew that I had a few of the floral from the Collage de Fleur transfer book. And they're absolutely stunning. So I just layered them up over one another, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I felt like I needed a pop of a different color. So I took, I think that is Prairie Sunset by Fusion, and I just went around the entire rim of the Lazy Susan with that yellow, and I think it makes those flowers pop even more. Y'all have to let me know what you think about that. I would price this Lazy Susan at $16.99. For the next 3 projects, it's not really the items, it's anything that I paint with DIY Apothecary paint. So these are some more things that were given to me. This is like a metal plate that someone had already spray painted, and then the last one is just a galvanized charger plate. So I'm going to paint all 3 of these in To start with, 1 coat of DIY Apothecary. This paint is like magic. It is a bestseller for me, and everything I paint in it usually always sells. So that's why I like to use it any chance I get. So I did 1 coat on everything. For these, I'm going to be doing paint inlays on, and I like to use the clay-based paint when I'm doing a paint inlay. They just look better and work better in my experience. So now I'm coming in with a pretty thick second coat on this little shelf sitter pig, and I have quite a few pieces left from Floriography. This was a sepia or a black and white paint inlay. And like I said, I have a few pieces of it. I have so many paint inlays that I need to use, and I'm going to be sticking them on everything, just like the transfers. And these are some pretty little florals, which will get me started on spring decor. Anytime I have to take a season down, especially Christmas, I'm always concerned, will I have enough to fill up the store? So I need to get some spring items going, and I thought these little florals would be so cute on our little pig here. Paint inlays are really easy. There's really no reason to be afraid of them, especially ones like Floriography where there's a lot of small ones. It's okay if you make a mistake, and I will here in this video, and I'll show y'all how I fixed it. So you're going to essentially put those paint inlays into that wet paint, and then I'm going to mist them and dab off any excess. And this is the one that I made a mistake on, and I didn't even realize it at this point that I did. So you want to mist the back side of your paint inlay. That's the side with the grid. But once you mist it, the grid comes through on both sides. So I didn't even realize it, but I put that second flower down wrong. I put the paint side up, but we'll fix that in a minute, and I'll show y'all. With this one, I had a larger piece. All of these do come from Floriography. I am sold out, and paint inlays are a one and done now with IOD. Once they sell out of them, they're no longer in production. So I do have plenty others that have smaller pieces like this available, and you might even still be able to find the Floriography. I just don't have it. So I did the same thing, misted it, laid into the wet paint, remisted it, dabbed off any of the excess. Now I'm just putting the second coat of Apothecary around the outside of this charger plate. I'm going to sit these aside and let them dry, and I got so busy that I didn't even have time to finish these up that day. So these sat overnight, which I've never done before, but I think that I will be doing from now on because they all transferred absolutely beautiful. So to remove them, you want to re-wet them and then just pull that backing off and then let them dry. I had a little bit of too much water there, so I just dabbed it easily because these will smear until they are sealed. But they turned out absolutely perfect. Look at this little pig. I love how he turned out. But now here, the little metal plate that I did, this is where I realized that, I guess I already pulled it off. Anyway, I don't know what happened to that footage, but the first one was on upside down, so it did not transfer at all. I tried to add another little one down below into some more wet paint. I let it dry while I sealed these up. Now to seal paint inlays, you want to have a very light hand if you're going to brush on a sealer like I'm doing here, and you want to load up your brush and don't press hard because that paint is water activated and it will bleed on you if you rub it too hard. You can always spray it dry too. Spray it sealed. I've done that many times. For these, it was cold outside. I decided to go ahead and seal them up inside. I did distress the pieces, and I'm sealing them up now with Big Top. Once I get this one sealed, we're going to go back and see if we can fix this plate. But first I am also going to distress it, and because that was a sealed spray paint under there, it is not coming off the white, and that's perfectly okay because I love the look of the white with the Apothecary. So I sealed over all those details around the edge, and then I'm going to, once that paint and lays dry, I'm going to re-wet it, pull it back, and it didn't work. I don't know if it was the texture that I had on there, but I've dried it again, and now I'm sealing it, and I had to come up with another solution. I'm happy with the solution, and all the time I'm actually it's fun when something messes up because you get to use your creative brain to come up with a solution. And for this one, it was an easy solution. It was floral transfers. These are a couple of scraps that I had left over from Menagerie, which was a beautiful transfer pack that I do still have, I believe, full of all florals and bird cages. Just absolutely lovely. I love the look of the colored flowers with the black and white on this Apothecary. It actually turned out to be my favorite of these items. So I just layered these over the top. I went ahead and gave it another seal with some DIY Big Top just to seal in those transfers. And like I said, this one turned out to be my favorite of the 3 Apothecary projects that I did, and I know that these are all going to sell. They look so beautiful together or styled separately in different vignettes. Of course, these will sell for different amounts, ranging from probably $6.99 on the pig all the way up to $12 on that charger plate. We are in the season of animals with wings, so that gets chickens, ducks, birds, butterflies, which is not technically an animal, but still along with the same thing. I have had this giant rooster in the store for a few months now. He's got a metal tail. He's really big. I've given him opportunity to sell as he is, and now he hasn't sold, so I'm going to update him for my last project in today's video. I'm using Fusion in the color Oakum. It's almost the same color as the rooster is now, but I'm going over the entire thing. I had to do 2 coats on some parts, but his middle part there that was brown only took 1 coat. Once it's dry, I'm going to come back and dry brush it. I'm using that this is limestone. This is a little Fusion sample of limestone. Usually I would go for DIY crinoline, but I did not have one open. So I'm using this limestone, which works perfectly too. And like I said before, you can't really mess up dry brushing. And this rooster was full of details, and I absolutely love dry brushing these roosters like this. And I'm positive he is going to sell now. I had $24.99 on them. I'll probably raise that just a couple of dollars to account for the paint that I used and sell him for $26.99. Alright friends, that wraps up today's video, and those are my 11 tried and true thrift store makeovers that continue to sell both here at my shop and on SusieOnTheFarm.com. I hope this gave you some inspiration and maybe even a little confidence to look at thrifted pieces with fresh eyes. If you saw a project you loved or one you want to try yourself, let me know down in the comments. I always love hearing from you. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss future thrift flips, vintage inspired projects, and creative ideas. Until next time, happy thrifting and happy creating, and I'll see you in the next video.